Regularly scheduled board meeting of the South Tahoe PD. Could you all please join me in the pledge? I'm going to little pause here. Perfect timing for Jim. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. Okay, do you have any comments from the audience on non-agenda items? Seeing no audience other than staff. Do we have any corrections to the agenda or the consent calendar? Motion, Kelly?
I'll move adoption of the consent calendar.
I'll second that. A little slow today.
Jim's was having trouble recording.
Yeah.
And I just saw briefly past 4-0 and my screen just dumped. Oh, there it's back. Yeah, okay. All right, thanks. Item 6A, hydro, truck number 57.
Good afternoon. Back again. We're here to talk about truck 57, which is the water hydro. And I believe it's out of compliance, but what I want to do here is Cliff has done a lot of the legwork going and looking at this NJPA. So I'm going to turn it over to him. He's done all the legwork on it and feels comfortable standing up here talking to you about it. He's worked hard with Linda Brown to go through all this. So with that, I'll turn it over to Cliff.
And we got a blessing after us microscopically so that we could use it. Anyway, morning, afternoon. NJPA is a purchasing authority that we can use. What they've done, they put out requests for proposals to different vendors that would like to be on their list to be able for entities, cities, state, to be able to purchase off of legally without having to go through the whole bidding process like we usually do. Now, with that said, the hydro excavator that we're replacing, truck 57, it's going to needs to be replaced by 2021. And I'd like to get this out of the system now while it's still young enough to get a good, decent resale price for, and it's in good enough shape. We haven't run it into the ground as of yet. And so we can recoup some of the money that we spend on this stuff. Now I have $395,000 budgeted for a new unit. Going through the NGPA, it came in at $356,907. With tax and everything, it came to $384,635, which is $10,365 under what I had budgeted. I feel that this is a good competitive quote that we've got from them. The company we've been dealing with, this will give us all the same machines. It's easier for me and my department to be able to keep the parts and everything I need to service them. Be trained on one machine instead of several different ones. It's easier for the crews to be able, if this water crew over here has got to use that water crew's camel now, well, if they don't have been trained on that one, it runs into problems. Well, all three be the same, interchangeable, the parts and the way they operate. I feel it's a competitive bid. It came in approximately
2.1 higher than last year.
Yeah, 2.1% higher than our last one we bought, and that's due to the increase in chassis and their parts themselves. So I guess what we're asking today is if we can go ahead and have an authorization to purchase this unit for $384,635.18.
Any questions?
That sounds like a good deal.
There
3
is
trucks
one
for the
thing-
price of one fire truck.
Well, Cliff is correct on one thing. We'll have all the same vehicles, which constitutes only having to order the same kind of parts throughout 3 different vehicles. But on this one, correct me if I'm wrong,
You're on.
this one here, they were going to shorten for us also.
Oh,
We
yeah.
would still maintain the 12-yard dump that we're asking for. But the problem we're having with these Camels, the last 2 that we purchased, is they're not fitting in our bays. So in other words, we're having to put it in the wash rack where, you know, there's a lot more room. This one here, they will do for the same price, same everything on it that we required, but they will shorten the frame up by a couple feet to make it to where it fits in our covered and heated bays. So that right there is a plus.
Unless we can get some more buildings, Paul. New shop, huh?
New shop.
But yeah, that was another plus. This would be more of a custom unit, made especially to fit in our smaller areas.
This bid was, I believe there was another bid ahead of this, which was number 1
Yes.
on the bidding process there that they asked for. That company did not meet our specs the last time we went out to bid. So,
And they were also one of the highest bids.
yeah.
The way that NGPA works, they take all the bids, they review them, make sure they meet the minimum specifications that they put out, and then they grade them from 1 through 10, I believe. 1 being the lowest bid. MME, back on, they came in at number 2. 1 being the, I can't remember what company it was, right off the top of my head, and it beat our specs last time.
This is new. Okay, do we have a motion, anybody?
I move that we authorize the purchase of a hydro back truck from Municipal Maintenance Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $384,635.18.
I'll second that.
That passes 4-0. Thanks, guys. We appreciate that.
I won't bother you for at least another couple months.
I was hoping that was years, but okay, short list today. Payment of claims.
I'll move payment of claim to the amount of $3,446,148.05.
I'll second that.
And that passes 4-0. Do we have any standing and ad hoc committee reports this time?
We think we're scheduled to meet with the city tomorrow, but they haven't responded with the last email, so Melanie is pursuing that. If we do have the meeting, does anybody have any issues that want us to bring up with the city? With that look on your face, Jim, you got something?
Well, we'll just, I don't know, have you thought about it, anything to discuss with them, or just...
One thing that came in from, I forget maybe it was conversations in operations, that we had heard that they had signed a long-term contract with the Snow Globe folks for continued use of, next door, although we understand that they're moving, the plan is to move it off of the artificial turf field onto the regular turf field that is being installed as we speak, although it looks like they haven't made that much progress this summer. But anyway, that's where we understand it was supposed to be. In the past, when we've had the Snow Globe event, our operators who are on duty at that time spend a lot of time shooing people away from walking into the plant thinking that this is the way to the plant, or kind of chasing them because if they're actually trying to get into the plant because they think if they jump over the fence they'll get the snow globe for free, and requesting of the city that they ask the the people putting on the snow globe provide one of their safety, compliance people and park them out in front of our parking lot to direct the traffic, to discourage people from trying to run through the plant to get to the event, and to break up the fights that seem to happen with the people who have already been partying for a while before they show up to go to the event. So, so we wanted to put that on the agenda and ask them if they would consider that. We put that request in before, and from the city police department, we got a kind of a no. They didn't want to post anybody here, full time during the event, but they gave us the phone numbers of, I think, the people who are in charge of the safety of the event to call rather than routing through 911 or something. I mean, if there's a fight out here that we need help having broken up. So
I think it's a good idea. I think we should bring it up. I don't think there's any reason we should pay money on salaries and our staff time for their event that they just seem to love.
Yeah.
So if they love it so much, they can maybe pay for it.
Well, plus, it's not a good position to put the employees
No, I mean,
in.
our guys are not police, and they're trying to protect the safety of the public in our facilities, and people climbing over the fence, getting in trouble out there. I mean, running around, most of them half inebriated, and running around our plant is not a good place to be. It's like, and there's and a lot of our fences have barbed wire on the top. If they think they're going to jump over them, they're probably going to injure themselves. And so anyway, it's just not. It'd be nice to have somebody official out there directing the traffic and keeping things under control. So.
I think that the city doing their security plan to require that they have something.
Well,
That's why it might be good for us to bring it up at our meeting, because they're probably, honestly, the city council's probably unaware that we're affected by snow globe at all.
Yeah. So the city would have to with their department permit to do their security plan.
And there's a steady stream of foot traffic, people parking. I mean, we put signs up so they don't park on Meadowcrest, but as soon as you get past Heavenly Creek and you're on the county right-of-way out there, the cars line up in the neighborhood and stuff and all pile out and come walking up the street. So it's pretty important that that crowd is directed appropriately. They did put signs up to walk on the outside of the fence and around to get onto the college property rather than walking up and running into our closed gate.
Well, it is scary because that's how I go home, and it's scary at dusk because there are these big groups and they're not really paying attention,
Right.
And so you definitely, you have to take the prerogative to be the safety one, the one being safe.
So okay, well that's besides for that, and we did send over on letterhead, our statement of the facts concerning the impacts of the district on increased investment by the city in the road maintenance. I have gotten a phone call from somebody running the Citizens for Measure C, and I've at this point I've chosen not to return the phone call. But basically, under the direction of several of you guys, the guys said when I asked, they said let's not send it out to K. Reed or send it out to the newspaper, our statement. We send it to the city. Here you go, and I'm sure they'll probably use it in some of their campaign literature or things like that. But we're taking, in essence, as low a profile as we can officially on the measure. So, unless I hear otherwise from you guys, that'll be what we continue to do.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, I think that covers the committee reports. Does anybody have any board member reports? And I don't hear a big clamor for that. There's nothing going on since our last meeting with the El Dorado County Water Agency, is there, Richard?
Not with the water agency itself, but with Dwayne there is. And so he's not here today, and His indication when Melanie talked to him is that he's got his schedule has changed fairly dramatically, and he feels that he will have difficulty attending in the future attending water agency board meetings. He's got a commitment of classes.
His wife has classes on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 to 8. So they are taking. He's got his mother that he's looking after, as well as Riley and grandkids.
And so basically, for him, he would have to hire help in order for him to attend the meetings in the future. So, so we have two things. We have, in short term, we have a meeting next week, and then I think in the long term, Dwayne is indicating that he feels like he really needs to kind of step down.
Can he go next week?
No, he can't.
He cannot go?
No. And so, like I said, we need attendance next week, and then in the future, at the second Wednesday of the month, we need a board member to be able to go. I can go, but I can voice the district's concerns, but I can't sit and cast a vote on that board. It has to be a board member.
Are you available Wednesday, Kelly?
I think I am. Just
Okay.
let me go check. The dog has a knowledge of support.
Oh. Well,
But I don't know if it's Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember.
the good news is that they've moved the meeting, at least just for next Wednesday, up to the county
I saw
administrative
that.
offices, so that'll shorten the drive 10 minutes or so in each direction. Okay.
Then think about long-term.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to do it. I mean, I'm back up, so.
Actually, I think we're saying you're not back up.
I know, I just said, well, I was.
Okay.
I previously was back up.
Otherwise, other than that, nothing from the water agency at this point.
Do you have anything in your report?
Yeah, I just have a number of little items. No particular order. The SB 623, which was the bill that responded to the issue that was passed by the legislature in 2015 that clean water is a right for all people. Basically, they were looking at several hundred small community water systems in the Central Valley that weren't meeting drinking water standards, and this was one group's response to that to try to generate money in the state coffers to provide loans and grants to give to these small communities. Aqua opposed it because the source of the money was going to be a water tax. Be a tax on every water connection in the state of California. One of several water taxes the state board is pursuing and recommending. But the good news after the lobbying is that this SB 623 has at least has been put in suspense and become a 2-year bill, so the discussion will continue in the future. Aqua's recommendation was to use bond money, Prop 1 money, general fund money to support these communities and upgrading the water systems rather than a tax on all water customers in the state of California. We also sent in, and we had sent in an opposition letter to support Aqua's position on that. We also sent in the last 2 weeks opposition letters again on the permanent water conservation bills, but they have not gotten one of the main reasons is they've not gotten off the dime on the state water board taking over control and the future of ratcheting down the water that's available for domestic use and for irrigation purposes on private residences. They want to take control over that and be able to dictate how much is allowed without penalty rather than having it be a state legislature decision. So we've continued to support Aqua's position in opposing those bills unless amended. And those that at least they haven't passed it. It's still being discussed and debated. Water quantity, we continue to report under the water conservation measures. Surprisingly enough, I was surprised that in August we used 9% less than we had in August of 2013. So I think it's a testament to our customers. Even without a robust enforcement program, we just put out the word that we're back to our normal, 3-day-a-week watering odd even, don't waste water message, and our customers use 9% less than in 2013. Again, I think because they value conservation in general, they don't have to have it beat over the head and with threats to do that. And we had a pretty hot August in general, so and with a lot of tourists. So I'm kind of surprised we beat our 2013, but we did. Yeah, and as well as it went down from last year too. Yeah. So, two more short items. Dwayne,
Let me,
okay.
real quick, I want to go back to, you mentioned something about various bills that are floating through the California legislature. Have you heard about the one that supposedly is a 95 cents a month
Yes.
tax on drinking water?
Yes.
And fresh water, yeah.
Yes, that was to support. I'm trying to remember what that was. That money was to support. Oh, the low income, yeah. Basically, kind of the subsidizing the low income folks in the state of California. So the crazy from Aqua's, and I think it's right. They were going to tax water customers so they could turn around and pay the people who couldn't afford to pay their water bills money. It's just like, what are you doing? So plus, like, we would have we would end up shipping the money down to Sacramento. The state water board would take their administrative cut of the funds and then turn around and decide how many people qualified to get subsidies for their water bill.
So that one was tight. That one was the low income one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the 95 cent.
The 95 cent one. Yeah.
Was the one that triggered it. That was one. So that was one of the other ones that it took looking at a water tax. So it's it reminded of the Beatles song, "The Taxman." Tax the water, tax the air, tax
your feet.
Yeah, tax. Yeah. So one other item that Dwayne actually brought up, he went on our website and tried to find and look for board meeting times and dates and stuff, and he felt like you have to click on who we are and then click on board to come up onto a page, and he thought maybe there was too many clicks and thought we were to try to move that up. So I don't know if anybody else has tried to do that. So that's probably one of the things that we'll be looking at.
On the home page, maybe.
Yeah, maybe get a direct click on board meeting agendas or times or something. Make it as easy as possible.
And maybe on that link is where you have the videos and the agenda and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, on the page you get to.
You get to.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd report if anybody else had that experience. But he said if he had problems or one other person had problems, maybe the other people were having problems, and so for increased transparency, we thought we'd make that change.
I applaud Dwayne for going on our site because I don't think I've been on it in a long time.
And then the only other thing I wanted to mention before we get into some of the more other staff reports is that we will start the process of initiating our sea hydro next Tuesday by starting a pressure testing on our sea line, the portion of the sea line that's going to see some increased operating pressures when we run the sea hydro. Our crews have fixed all the air relief valve locations that our investigation has shown. There's a little rust. They're putting in new air valves. So our crews are doing all that work, and we'll be done and ready to initiate the testing next Tuesday. So that's pretty exciting for the district. So maybe looks like we're in shooting range of that we've told Liberty that we would potentially be generating electricity for to give back to them by October 1st. So I think we're still on schedule for that. So unless there's comments about that, I know we have some other staff reports.
Going quick today, so I'll make these short and simple for you. Luther Pass. I believe I told you guys last time about how we had a blow up on pump number 3. The rotating element that we supplied, one of the, what I call an inner race on a wear ring, blew apart and pretty much ruined the rotating element. So at that time, I had talked about Martech. They came in last week and picked up, we have 3 old rotating elements at one point or another that just couldn't be used. So Martech took all 3 of those and is going to see if he can make one out of it. And at that point, it was around 40,000 plus. We're still waiting for a quote on that. But in the meantime, Phil Turney found another company called Bay Valve. And if you remember, I talked about FlowServe in the past. FlowServe's pretty much cornered the market on Byron Jackson pumps. All your rotating elements, the shafts, things like that, other people can copy, but the impellers is where they get you. So Bay Valve gave us a quote of around $85,000 for a new one, but that's using our old impellers. So at this point, everything's still kind of on hold to see what we get as far as quotes from these people. We don't want to go out and spend $80,000 for a rebuilt one until we find out FlowServe is really dragging their feet. We've been waiting for a quote now for a couple weeks. They're the ones that can provide us with everything brand new for a Byron Jackson pump. We haven't received anything yet, unfortunately, but we've got some things going in the process, like the pump or the rotating element at Martech. Once we get an idea of what the exact cost is going to be, we may go ahead and let them do that. If they can give us a good warranty, that type of deal, so we can get something coming back for pump 3 now. But we're holding off because we don't want to spend $80,000 if a brand new rotating element from FlowServe is, say, $100, where everything's new, everything's guaranteed. So at this point, just a quick update. This is what we've got going so far. I'll know more hopefully by the next meeting to give you guys some more numbers and better ideas. So we're being cautious about it, but it is taking time to get all the quotes that we need. Fallen Leaf, we held a public meeting last Friday, and fortunately only 2 people showed up, fire chief and another doctor that lives down there. But all in all, Richard, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it went very well even with just the 2 people. They're really glad to see us updating a system that is giving us problems. They saw all of our guys out there during the winter in the rain and the snow. So far at this point, we've got nothing but kudos from these people that we're trying to improve it. So start off with that. Phil Turney and his crews have been out there. They've already cored all the holes needed. We're going to run 2 2-inch force mains all the way from the main station up to vacuum station 3. So the holes are all cored, which constituted them having to dig it up, do all that. They also cored 2 other holes, which is going to pose for our electrical lines. There's a pole right there that we can hook up the electric to. So those are all done. And today, Doug and his crew are out there. We have to locate the vacuum line, the existing vacuum line, because we have an easement there already, and that's what we'd like to follow, so we're not having to get another easement, go through all of that. We can follow the same easement. Everything should work out pretty good. So they're out there today. They pothole it. We'll run some wires down through it somehow to see, get a good trace on which way our route's going to be. This week also, and maybe next week, Phil and his crew is going to start installing the rails that go inside of the holding tank that the pumps can go into. Makes it a lot nicer. You reach over, you can grab, you can pull those pumps right out with anybody having to get in there. So that's also in the process. So hopefully by next board meeting, I'll be able to come in here and report that we're digging, or we're pretty close to being done with Station 3.
And I think the public is supportive, because every vacuum station we can eliminate out there will be less odors that they have to suffer through in the summertime.
Yeah, the fire chief really had a lot of concerns about the odors coming from the main station. But like Richard had explained to him, hopefully a lot of that will be eliminated once we get out of that vacuum system, because the vacuum is sucked in through the station, and that air that's being sucked in has to go somewhere, which unfortunately is right outside next to the main store. So yeah, they're all happy about that. One other thing was the city paving. The beginning of the year, you guys are all aware that the city went out and repaved a bunch of roads. Well, we have valve boxes and manholes out there that they raised up, and when they raised those, they put concrete collars around them. So we received a bill for $121,500. which constituted basically 38 manholes and 59 water boxes. So before I come to you without asking for authorization to pay this bill, I want my crews to go out and double check this. The only reason I want it double checked is there's a lot of storm drains out there that appear to be manhole covers. You've heard in the past that people are complaining they think it's our manhole that's too low and they're going over it with their car. Turns out a lot of them are storm drains where they access their storm drains, the city. So the guys are going out and double checking all that, because another $1,500 a manhole and $1,000 a water box, I want to verify and make sure everything's correct.
Was that a city contract?
Yes, with S&C, I believe.
So are you saying that their rate to do that sound a little high to you?
Not with the concrete collars.
Not with the concrete collars?
Yeah, when you get into the concrete collar, there's a lot of extra work involved with that. It's not just a matter of raising up a box and compacting the base around it.
I think in the future would make sense to have them coordinate with you, our staff, on when they're doing which ones, and in case you wanted to stop by and look at it.
They kind of did. Jim Marino gave me a list of streets saying when they were going to start, and if I ever wanted to come out, just to give him a call, and he'd tell me exactly where they are. So that part we've actually worked out. And throughout the process, some of the guys driving by have seen them doing it, and S&C is very reputable. So we don't have much doubt that it wasn't done correctly. Mark Frasina was the inspector out there, and Mark is very good. He takes real pride in his job. Him and some other guys were kind of back and forth checking them out.
Yeah, the finished product looks really good, and it's
Yes.
very nicely done. Nice slope down, so that the top of the lids are below the surrounding asphalt surface. So the workmanship is very good. And S&C is the contractor doing our Ponderosa Street Waterline project as we speak. So they're a reputable, good contractor.
Yes. So I'll have more at the next board meeting as far as the total count. There is one thing that is not on the agenda, but it happened last night, and I don't know. I don't ever want to be accused of not letting everybody know what's going on, especially you guys, but I also know what it's like to be in the grocery store and somebody come up to you and start chewing on your ear, what happened here, what happened there. So talking with Richard, we felt this was important that you guys should know about. There may be times where I'm up here and it may not be that important to you, but I'm having a hard time with that part, what's good to know and what's not to know, so I'm throwing everything out there. Also, you're going to see me a lot of times refer to my supervisors, like what Cliff just did, the NJPA. He did a lot of the legwork working with Linda. A lot of the supervisors do a lot of the work out there, and the succession planning here at the district has worked very well. I'm a product of it. I really believe in it for helping people succeed later on. And there may be times that I'm not always here. I may be out, who knows what could happen. But I want all my supervisors to be comfortable standing up here in front of you, giving you exactly what's happened, when, where, and how. So a lot of these times when I ask them to come up and talk, this is like a cross-training to feel comfortable in front of you guys, so there's never anything that you won't know, or if I'm gone, if we need a camel or something right away, these guys are all comfortable with it. So just kind of a heads up of which direction I'm trying to go here. So Doug, last night, about 4:45, the county was out off of Arapahoe, a country club, and they hit our old A line and it leaked.
So the gas company hooked it and put a hole in the side of the old A line, which I got out there about 5 o'clock. I was in here, I went to Jeff right away. We didn't know it was the old A line at that point in time. Jeff stopped exporting right away, got out there. Brian from the lab got out there about 5 minutes after 5, determined it was more potable water than anything. So we didn't know at that point if it was the old A line or if it was an old abandoned service that they had hit. So we cameled down, opened the ditch up a little bit more, the gas company with their backhoe, and we determined it was the A line and saw it, and then I had to come back here and because the OD on that was 26.13, and I had to put together a series of bands, full circle clamps, that we could get around it to stop it, because I don't know if you remember, we filled the old A line with potable water to keep it from floating in the winter time. So, and where they hit it was about 3 o'clock on the pipe, and so it was draining big time. Unfortunately, it was draining into the county project ponds that they had for storm drain out there, so it was being held there, and we were able to get the bands on, get it fixed, and get everybody back out of there. Hayne plated it for the night, and I believe, I haven't been out there today yet, I believe they're going to backfill it today and fix this pond where it drained to, because it eroded part of the bank. And we had it done, we're back in here a little bit after 8 o'clock last night. So everything's back to normal, except for now we got to go back and try to refill the old A line with potable water again and make sure that's full and back to normal.
That way there, if somebody drives by and saw all of us, everybody out there working until 8 o'clock at night, or if somebody finds out it's one of our A-line sewage lines, if you get asked in the store or something like that. That's what happened. It was all potable water. Terry tested it. It came up 0 on everything. So I called Rob at LaHontan this morning also, let him know what was going on. Even though it was a sewer pipe, they're not considering it any kind of a spill. So, okay.
So it's just permanently has water in it.
Yes. Yeah. When they first,
Are there any long-term issues with that, deterioration or whatever?
there always could be, because you have water in a steel pipe. The likelihood of it, you probably won't know anything until you ever go to use it.
Or if somebody nicks it?
Yeah, exactly.
And just so you guys know, that was the fact that we're talking about it is that it is actually valved into the new A line at the request of Harold Singer, who is the chief executive officer of the LaHontan board. At the time, they said, well, the old A line was still kind of usable, and so we actually have several locations where we can crisscross and go from new to the old and back to the new line. Because his idea was that an old line was better than no line. So if something happened to our new line, we'd potentially have the opportunity of pumping through the old line. So that's why it was valved in, filled with water, and kind of left intact in potentially usable in the future. So you were around, Jim. You remember all that discussion, right?
I don't know if I'd really want to use.
I remember when LaHontan fined us for spilling clean water out of the new line. We tested it. It's funny now that, we discharge something and they're not worried about it.
I don't know if I'd want to. An abandoned sewer line that's been sitting full of water for years, and all of a sudden, well, let's just open the valves and use it. I don't know about that.
I thought the same thing. I was thinking about it too. But if we have a problem with the A line and we have to start pumping into the ERP, say for some reason it takes more than a week, it might be worth firing up that old A line instead of letting it spill out of the ERP. So, but I agree. Steel sitting full of water, empty, not being used.
Yeah, not being used. Yeah.
No, I agree. It just something sounds wrong there. But when you look at the other alternatives of what could happen, it may not hurt to fire that up and deal with a 20-gallon-a-minute leak compared to it overflowing out of the ERP. So I can see where they were going with that. So, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Mr. Hughes.
I don't believe there's actually an update. It was last meeting that we provided the good news that in writing we received confirmation of the approval of the meters contract and that it included the $4 million grant, which was the first time that we had actually received anything other than a verbal on that topic. Oh, go ahead.
Did they hear about the Bureau of Rec grant for the smart meters? The smaller one, 175,000 or 100,000 or so?
I don't want to say anything because I don't know for sure.
Okay.
We'll report next time. But for some reason, I'm thinking we were denied one of the Bureau of Rec grants.
There was two. There was a smaller
Yes.
one and a bigger one. We didn't get the bigger one. We got the smaller one though.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have heard that, but anyway, it's more money to use for our AMI system. Yeah.
I don't think I reported this last time. The $4 million grant feature of the meters loan. The reason it's so beneficial, it actually reduces our annual debt payment to that loan by $170,000, which is really like being able to pay for, another loan in the short-term future when we're starting to replace some of our water lines. Just more purchasing power. But we still haven't gotten the contract. I think we determined that there's one ink pen eligible within the state's office that can be used to sign contracts, and it requires such a strong security detail, like when the president moves from location to location, that it just takes a long time.
All those things. I think that probably is as plausible as any other.
So the check's in the mail.
Possibility.
There will be.
Okay, I think that does it. You can see the past and future meetings. It turns out that there are no updates for closed session, so we won't have a closed session today.
Right.
So if, unless anybody has anything else, let's adjourn this meeting.
How was your trip?
Oh.